In this video we are going to demonstrate how to handle large V10 data collection projects by using photo station grouping. In this case we had 120 photo stations, and adjusting all of these stations in one single bundle adjustment would be very time consuming and in the same time very risky, because in case we have a very weak link between any of the two consecutive stations due to the lack of tie points or a bad station geometry, that would cause the whole automatic tie point process not to work so well. In order to ensure the success in your processing, we strongly recommend that for any project that has more than 10 photo stations, that you apply the photo station grouping workflow. For this dataset, to get ourselves a little bit better familiar with it, we can open a station view from one of the photo stations, and as you can see, the data was very linear collected along the street. So we can simply select a new photo station and continue jumping between the stations, simulating the Google Earth Street View experience. And as you can see, the cone view on the left indicates the orientation and where we are looking at. The process of creating photo station groups is very straightforward. So in case the data is coming sequentially, so every day you're getting new data, you can simply create a group from day 1, then adjust it. Next day you get the data in the same project, you can create group 2, adjust it, and so on. In case a large number of photo stations comes at once, like in this case, you can simply choose to select them from left to right. Like in this example, I selected a group of photo stations. I can launch the group photo station command. I can give my group a name, call it group A, and say create. And you can see in the plan view the appearance of group A. Also, if you expand the photo station node in the project explorer, you can see the group A and all of the members of group A. You can open the properties, and for appearance you can change the color of group A to something else. You can then continue selecting data, or let's say I'm going to select a little bit more, and again launch the group photo station command. You can call this one, let's say, group B, and say create. Now you have two groups already created, group A and group B. Next, when you go to adjust your photo stations, typically would select the standard resection as the adjustment type. And also here notice that from the mission, now in addition to all terrestrial photo stations like before, now you have your individual groups that you can select, or you can create a new group or launch the group photo stations command from this menu. So let's say we are focusing on group A. You can resolve conflicts easily and move to the automatic, and now you just find the automatic tie points for the group A. You can also move to group B and say verify the setup type, resolve conflicts, find tie points for group B. Notice that in this way you can have 8 different groups running at the same time, finding tie points, which will shorten the overall processing time significantly. So instead of finding tie points for the whole project at the same time, which would leverage a single core, this way you can find tie points for 8 groups at the same time, which will utilize all of your computer resources in the most efficient way and reduce the processing time significantly. That will also ensure success. That way, if the automatic tie point finding fails for a specific group, you can go back and address the issue for that specific group while all of your other groups are going to be adjusted. After you complete all of that, you get a project like this, where in this case we ended up with 9 different groups. So when we tried to adjust this project in one single bundle adjustment, the process failed and we had to add a lot of manual tie points. It was a very tedious process, but once we divided and conquered this project into 9 different groups, we found the adjustment was much easier and much faster. Also, if you check the adjustment photo station command under the result, you can view the result for the individual groups, and you can also report and view the results for all of the groups. One thing to mention is that you are allowed to have overlapping groups, so you can have stations that are shared between 2 or 3 groups, but that is not necessary typically. One of the recommendations is to have at least 10 photo stations in a group, because that will give us really good georeferencing information, and in order to strengthen that georeferencing element between the neighbor groups, you can create a manual tie point that will further enforce that geometrical relationship between the groups. We strongly recommend that you apply photo station grouping for any project where you have more than 10 photo stations. A typical example is where you have a bridge, where you have some photo stations on the deck of the bridge and you have some photo stations on the paved surface below. In that case, you can adjust the deck separately from the photo stations on the paved road, or if you are doing a cadastral work where you are walking around a building, you can have 3 or 4 stations at one corner, 3 or 4 stations at the other corner, and you can adjust them all separately, and then you can create 1 or 2 manual tie points between the groups to further strengthen the geometrical relationship. That concludes our video on using photo station grouping inside Trimble Business Center version 350.